Hey everybody, it's Mecha GM, and we're back with a new episode of Three Men in Anime. As always, I'm joined by my good friends and co-hosts, Eric Carlson and Gav Leaf. How are you guys doing tonight?
Planet Earth is too hot, and I think we should kill the sun.
I see.
I'm charging offences against grass.
I see.
I have hay fever. If you haven't worked that one out, and I didn't want to get overly
That's
cliche.
fair.
Not cliche, risque. That's it.
There we go.
Yeah.
At any rate, and Eric wants to go. Eric wants to go steal the Weather Dominator from Cobra. I take it.
Yes. I mean, I'd rather not get Cobra. They really shoddy craftsmanship. Heard the Decepticons have a decent one, though.
Yeah, but it's like all they ever do with them is make Arctic everywhere.
I'm okay with this. This is, in fact, ideal.
I see. Well, that is not what we're covering tonight. Tonight, we are covering Gav's most recent series selection, Summertime Rendering, a wonderful, sleepy, lazy story about a very straightforward return of a young man to the island he grew up on when he was a kid. And nothing weird happens whatsoever.
Nothing weird happens at all.
Yes, it's a very straightforward love
Anyway,
story.
there are these doppelgangers.
This is simultaneously a time travel story and a body horror story.
Emphasis on the horror.
Yeah, it kind of weirdly it
Blends
blends.
conspiracy, too.
Yeah, oh yeah, It really sort of blends elements of like Parasite, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and like Steins Gate, and
If you've ever seen Higurashi, it's carries a lot of the same DNA there. Like
We did mention
interbreed if they tried hard enough.
We did mention a few times that throughout this show that like it's clear that this writer was watching at least like a half a dozen different shows at the same time.
Yep.
And noodling notes because there are influences and even just straight up scenes that are from. It's like, I know where that's from.
It very much wears its influences on its sleeves, and but not in a sort of overtly like.
Oh, it's not like a cliched ripoff kind of situation.
No, it's just like it doesn't try to hide where what it was inspired by. I think it's more of what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, this one apparently it came highly rated. I picked this up not to name drop anyone else in our little podcast, but I got this from one of the other larger and slightly more successful podcasts out there about anime. That consider this quite a high level, a favorite of theirs, but unfortunately it doesn't get a lot of attention because it's stuck in the Disney jail. It's currently found on Disney Plus and not available on Crunchy or any of the usual anime sources.
Yep.
Ding.
But yes, overall, so the basic premise is. Our main character, Shinpei, had left the island, sort of little island community of about like 600-700 people or so that he grew up with, to go off to Tokyo to go to culinary school. And left behind sort of apparently his parents died when he was young and was sort of adopted by the family that ran a restaurant that ran the local restaurant, and sort of was quasi adopted by them, not actually. And he and the older of the two sisters totally did not fall for each other. Nope, not at all.
Yeah, there's no romantic tension at all.
It's very clear that if they'd done a show about them in the before times, what's her name, Ushio would very much have been a tsundere.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
But where we see her, not anymore. She has gotten to the nope. I know what I want, and it's you stage.
Well,
largely.
We do get a little bit of a glimpse into it towards the end. So yeah.
Yes.
Well, no. I mean, I'm gonna come out and say that like, no, Ushio's dead.
Well, yeah, I was getting to that. Oh no, the reason he's come back to the island is that Ushio died tragically in an accident, apparently, and he's coming back for the funeral. And that's where things start going fucking weird.
Yeah. Now, we're not going to try and recount this beat for beat.
No, fuck no.
Fucking impossible.
Did I mention time loops? I think I mentioned time loops.
Yeah.
So, long story short, there are creatures in the island that can that can basically invasion the body snatchers you. And copy you and then then basically eat you to get all your memories and such. And one of them killed Ushio. And he eventually runs into the duplicate of Ushio, whom is weird, and they never explain why. Oh, actually, they do. Never mind. I remember now.
They do.
Yeah, she's She's quote defective for a reason because she's basically just Ushio.
The doppelgangers are there's an old like myth on the island. One of those like local tall tales about shadow sickness, where your shadow becomes alive and copies you and eventually tries to track you down and kill you. But the only way to get it cured is to go to the shrine and talk to the priest there, and he can cure you.
Yeah, really. Yeah, he can cure you. Yep, totally.
He can cure you.
And
we start to see, and Ushio turns out like Ushio's shadow is alive and kicking around. That's who we meet. His little sister, quotation marks, Ushio's little sister, Miho, who totally doesn't have a crush on him. That's
not at all. That'd be silly.
We start seeing that she's got a shadow person also following her around, and trying different ways to eliminate her.
Yeah, they do mention that the shadows have, I think it's like 7 days to get rid of the original, otherwise they will fade.
We find out later, but yes.
Yeah.
Again, we're not going to be doing this in actual order because, for fuck's sake, the show doesn't go in order, really. I mean, it does,
but like I say, if you want to know what's going on and like go into this fresh, go watch it now. Why are you watching a review of an episode of a show if you want to watch it fresh?
I will say, flatly,
if you want fresh, this is very good. It's very complex. Lots of cool stuff happens.
Yeah.
There's shadow monsters.
There's time travel.
There's a one-eyed janitor with a sniper rifle. There's
Eldritch abominations.
There's some eldritch abominations. There's a novelist with a sledgehammer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's great.
Yeah. But again, there is a lot in here.
There are giant shadow babies with the tops of their heads missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of shit going around. There's time travel via death. There's time looping via death.
Parallel existences.
Yeah. Oh yeah, multi-universe theory also.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a pretty dense show.
Oh yeah.
And it handles it all pretty well.
Yep.
Like it never seems to get into its own way.
It does the thing where, like we mentioned Steins Gate, Steins Gate sets out its rules for time travel and it doesn't break those rules. This show does do that, but my only issue with it is it keeps finding an extra page of rules when it needs to for plot reasons.
Yeah,
So
you're playing Necromunda.
Yeah, it doesn't break it doesn't ever break what's already been established.
It refines what the rules are as it goes along.
But it issues an errata about a week later. It's like
partially because the main character doesn't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's largely him figuring out how exactly his time travel ability works. And there are hints early on in the series that things work the way they end up working later. They just never state it outright. Like there are implications about why the Shadow Ushio can travel with him. Like very early on, like you sort of get you can sort of like if you go back and look at the very beginning, you can sort of see, they were hinting that she can do this from the beginning.
Yeah. There is also a number of little things that they add in, just literally for the sake of making the plot that bit more. Like, for example, Shinpei obviously is the titular character. He's well, not titular, but the main character. He's the one that time loops.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it takes him a couple of loops to figure out what's going on. He thinks it's all deja vu for whatever reason. For like the first three.
I think it's for the first one. He thinks it's deja vu.
Yeah, the second one he realizes.
Yeah, he starts to cotton on pretty quickly.
But it's not till the third one that he meets this shadow Ushio.
Yeah,
and the next time he loops, she comes with him.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's meant to obviously signify their connection and all this sort of stuff. Again, it all gets explained down the line. A little trick that the shadows have is that because they're able to read memories, they're also able to pass on memories. Which is really useful, so you don't have to have a scene where he has to explain what's going on to every single character every single time.
Honestly, it helps the pacing of the show immensely.
It's a good trick just to cut down the fucking exposition.
Because there's a lot of exposition.
Like, this is a 24 episode or 25 episode show that takes place within the course of, 3-4 days?
If that, yeah.
About a week, I think, total.
If that, yeah, but like I think it's literally.
Well, actually, no, they cover the same 4 days. You're right, Gav. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 4 days, and they try so many different things, do so many different things, and change everything. Where if they by like halfway through the show, if they had to actually sit down and explain everything to everyone every time, they'd get fuck all done.
Yeah. No, it was a good plot. It was a good plot device to have, legitimately. Yeah. Oh, that actually just makes things much easier makes it it helps the pacing, but also makes the story actually move.
Mm-hmm.
Great, good, wonderful, thumbs up.
But yeah, the one thing I did notice a lot with this show is the show is split very much down the middle. The first half, I mean, you can literally figure out when this happens because the intro changes.
Mm-hmm.
Literally when the intro changes. The first half is very much the horror side of it, the horror aspect. It's like, what's going on, trying to figure this out, inhuman killers, body horror, all this stuff going out, and trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Then we get to the halfway point, and it... You know how in, the 90s and 2000s, all the classic horror films started coming back, but they were basically just glorified action films?
Yeah.
Basically the same thing. It's like, yeah, the horror aspect is still there, but because it's now been brought out with the shadows, so to speak.
Yeah,
so to speak.
Because the what's going on has become a bit more illuminated. We know, we're not as in the dark. Why am I making all these shadow puns? It's not deliberate.
They work.
Yeah, you're not so much in the dark anymore, but it's a
both
case
the
of...
audience and the characters have enough information to start taking an active role in what's going on.
Exactly, and it evolves into... I'm not going to say it's turned into fucking Dragon Ball or something.
No, not at all.
But it definitely becomes a more proactive...
It shifts from being horror to action thriller, honestly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's still creepy, no question. But there's a lot more action, but it's not based around there's definitely creeping horror because what's going to happen. We've seen what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's bad. It's real bad.
The whole island gets eaten by shadows. That's what we know is
going to happen.
The bad guys' end goal. That is what they're moving towards, and they're only a few days away from succeeding.
Yes. The halfway point is the bad guys are about to win, and our hero basically goes, well, fuck. All right, Rinosuke, shoot me and kill me so I can loop. Are you sure? Yes!
That's how he loops, by the way. He has to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has to die.
A little bit of ReZero there. Except, very different sort of respawn point setting, kinda.
Yeah. We learn through him doing this, each time he resets it, he's got a little bit less time than he had before.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times where you can sort of gain a little bit more time, and because the end point turns out is elastic, depending on exactly where he's what's happening and how he's doing it. But yeah, the
But yeah,
he's got a little bit of playing room, but not a lot, and he's constantly losing space.
Yep. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a lot of layers being like a lot of plates spinning in this one.
a
Yes.
lot. Yes.
The aforementioned author is a mystery author. She's also literally a monster hunter.
Yep.
Who is partially possessed by her brother's ghost / shadow. They have sort of a timeshare thing going on.
Mhm.
It's almost a split person. Well, it is a split personality
It
kind
is
of
a
situation.
personality, yeah.
Where he takes over, and the catch to it is that he's a shadow, so technically has their abilities, which is the speed and the strength.
Yeah,
And
the,
he can
the
deploy-
shadows do have superhuman physical ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is her body doesn't.
Well,
Right.
that's the thing. I was sort of under the impression that all he does is just turn it up to all the way to hysterical strength all the time.
Yeah, basically that's
Like,
what,
he always feels like shit after a fight.
yeah. I mean, that's sort of basic. The shadows basically operate at sort of max adrenaline levels for humans all the time, because they don't have to worry about their muscles or bones breaking.
Yeah.
They can do the absolute peak human max constantly and not have to worry about injuring themselves. Whereas humans, well, if they do that, you can do it for a little while, but eventually your muscles start tearing. You might break bones, tear cartilage, etc. Shadows don't have that.
Yeah.
Well, the trick of it is that the actual the people that they appear as are not actually their real bodies.
Right.
They're essentially projections. Their real bodies are the shadows on the floor.
Yep.
It's like, again, it's a lot of little things all to take into account all at the same time.
Yeah, like we find out that the best way to tell if someone's a shadow or not is to try to step on their shadow. If you can, that's a person. If
the shadow avoids you,
yeah, then you've got well, then time to get at that sledgehammer. One of the interesting things we see is the use of nail guns to pin shadows.
yes.
You literally nailed the shadow to the ground.
Yep.
That they can't move if they got three nails in them, and it's like stapling Peter Pan's shadow to the ground.
Right.
Yep.
So that becomes a thing. We start seeing what's her face? Ushio, as Ushio retains memories from loop after loop. She gets better at manipulating the shadow powers and starts learning that she can copy the data of inanimate objects and create new ones. So you end up with like multiple guns, multiple nail guns, multiple whatever is necessary. It's actually like very clever use of, because as is explained to us, the shadows reproduce by copying a person's data and then incorporating that into themselves and making a new shadow. It's actually that's how it's explained to us. That's how it's done. It's always done with a bright flash of light, like someone's taking a photograph. And it's actually, like we've established, they copy the data. So what if I tried to copy the data of this nail gun? Oh, here we go. We got 2 nail guns now.
But the copy doesn't seem to work until we destroy the original. Huh.
Yeah, like I say again, a lot of little rules, a lot of little things they keep adding in. It's almost like the writer's trying to test himself to see how many of these little rules he can keep going with and keep adding in and not forgetting.
Do it in an Excel program running the background the whole time.
Yeah. No, he did a very nice job, very good job being very consistent with all the rules of how everything worked. And he did a very good job at when revealing something new about how things worked, that it didn't interfere, didn't contradict things that had happened before.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not easy to do. So yeah, we eventually find out through the time looping and such, Well, the big thing is that Ushio is very clearly, the Shadow Ushio is very clearly a lot more oomphy than most of the other shadows that we run into. Note I said most. And there is a reason for that we find out much later. Yeah, she is their sort of trump card against a lot of the other shadows.
Yeah.
Though not all of them. And it turns out she eventually develops the ability. So she seemed to have a lot of. So we eventually do meet the Shadow's quote mother end quote.
Shadow Prime.
Yeah. Hiroko or Heine. They're and there's a reason why she has two names, and it's Hiroko is the name of the island's sort of patron goddess, basically. And Heine is the human form of the which is a little small child, basically. We eventually meet. We first see her at the episode where the bad guy, where the shadows win and Shinpei loops back. As he's looping back, he sees this floating figure of a white-haired girl with two different color eyes. And he's like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And she like stares at him. And he's like, "Oh, that can't be good." Yeah, it turns out that Ushio has sort of a weird link to Heine. Also, as does Shinpei, because there's a big forearm shadow thing that shows up, and comments that he's got one of Mother's eyes, which seems a little weird. His eyes are different colors, which apparently they weren't the case before. And that might be tied to why he's able to loop the way he is. That's exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
So much time looping is being able to observe other
possibilities.
Yeah, they explain it. Yeah, they explain they can basically see other realities and observe it, and the reality that they're observing becomes the current reality.
Yep.
So every time he dies, he just looks at another reality and moves there instead.
Yep.
But at a slightly later point.
Yep. And Ushio's able to travel back because she's a shadow, and it's basically mostly just information. Turns out this is this is something that Heine can do as well. Which, of course, when you think about it, yeah, of course Heine can do that too. Then, oh no,
oh no,
yeah,
so
Heine can loop also and does.
Yeah. So we get this whole section where like Shinpei and the Scooby Gang, quite literally in some cases, are doing all.
They eventually recruit Shadow Miho, who is possibly the best character in the show, because Miho tries very hard to be sort of like a sweet, innocent, look at me, when she's clearly not.
I mean, she is definitely a bit of a moe blob.
Yeah, she's a bit of a moe blob.
She is genuinely a sweet kid. I get the impression
it's a conscious decision on her part.
It is partially. I mean, she is a kind-hearted person.
Yeah. Oh, it's just being a kind-hearted person and putting on the artifice.
Oh no, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. And Shadow Miho just drops all the pretense.
She has no filter.
I've got no filter, and you know what? I'm just I know what I am. I'm a fucking predator, and I murder shit. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. it's literally a case of she copied Miho and got most of the knowledge, but she didn't get to copy the personality.
Right.
So this.
So the one of the important bits is we find out actually that so when shadows copy someone, they basically become them. Basically.
Yep.
And there's a bit of a philosophical debate about, well, if it's a perfect copy, how is that different than the actual person? And that's a really good philosophical question. And once the original dies, what's the difference at this point? Well, the main difference is that they are kind of controlled by Heine, except that Ushio can break that connection because she's similar to Heine. So instead of getting that sort of constant feed of information from Heine, she just severs the connection. So now Shadow Mio is just basically Mio without any filter.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I'm a monster, but I'm also Mio. Okay,
She's
I can
also
live with that.
she's also very like pragmatic in that she knows she's also destined to die within the next 7 days because she won't. She's
The
not going to
alternative
kill
is to
me.
murder Miho. Yeah.
Yeah, and nobody's going to let her, so she's not
Well,
going
it's not
to.
even
She's
just
not
that.
going to
No,
try.
she's not going to do it. She doesn't want to murder Mio anymore either. Is the thing.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, that's just murdering someone just so I can live. Yeah. It's a choice, and I'm choosing not to.
Yeah, it's a choice, and it feels kind of murder-suicide-y.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't... 7 days
Also,
is not enough time to come up with a plan of action, so I'm just not going to.
well, the other option right now is, well, we're going to go and take out Mother, basically, and
Right.
stop the entire island from being wiped out, because, that's sort of a genocidal thing, and that seems kind of bad.
But again, she also states in that situation, okay, so the plan is we're going to go kill Mother. Cool. All the shadows are going to disappear at that point anyway, so there's no point killing Miho.
Right.
Right.
Like, there's really no point. At that point, there's no point. Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, Mio is like Shadow Mio is legit, really, really well done and very interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very, like you said, very stoic, very pragmatic, very super logical.
And
yeah.
genuinely
But
funny
not-
sometimes. Also,
Not emotional. Often hilarious.
Yeah.
And watching the two Mihos slip into each other's personalities on occasion
yeah,
is very fun. They're like the voice actors for Miho did a great job
Yes.
Yep.
there.
Well, we by the way, we watched the dub version because that's just what happened first. So we were watching
Yeah,
it
that's
the
what
English
happened
dub.
first.
And overall, the voice actors did a very good. Like, some of the voice actors did a very good job, especially ones that had to do sort of two different characters.
Some of the voice actors did incredible work.
Mio was one of the better ones, honestly.
Mio was one of the better ones, and also
Ryunosuke was the other really standout one.
yes. I'm just trying to find the Ryunosuke. Don't have the English actress here, but yeah, Ryunosuke is the well, not actually. It's Hizuru.
Hizuru and Ryunosuke are the brother and sister.
Right.
Yeah,
When
they
in her
inhabit the
own
same
body, Hizuru and delivering lines as Ryunosuke's personality, you could easily tell the difference between the two characters.
Yes.
It was very well done. The problem
catch
is that she had to voice Ryunosuke when Ryunosuke was as Ryunosuke as a teenager, and that didn't quite work. And it really didn't work when we kicked it forward in time into adult Ryunosuke, and
that was less successful.
That was less successful.
He was like a 30-year-old whose balls still hadn't dropped. It's like, come on, dude. It's like,
now
I get it. I get it. Like, while it's basically what happens is when Ryunosuke takes over, you can see the definite personality shift. Amazing performance.
Yeah.
Then halfway through the show, you start hearing Ryunosuke's actual voice in her head as like a, hanging over her shoulder kind of situation. They get to speak to each other, and it's okay. Female voice actors do young children. That's fine. It's go. And there's another bit where they flashback and you see them as children. Okay, she's not quite got it, but it's passable.
Yep.
Adult Ryunosuke.
It took me out of the moment a bit.
He still sounds like a 10-year-old boy.
It's sort of like why I have trouble watching Dragon Ball in Japanese. Adult Goku is a little weird to hear sometimes in Japanese. Because it's the exact same voice as Child Goku, because it's the same voice actress.
Yeah.
And it throws me off a little bit, is all I'm saying. It's like, I mean, it's the same with Krillin and and I will say, I appreciate the fact they kept the same voice acting crew throughout the entire series. Like, that's cool.
Yes. Now we will mention one thing is that we don't actually even though we may have criticisms towards some of the voice work, we've kind of come to a conclusion that we're not actually blaming the voice actors themselves.
Oh no, it's direction. It's all and that's generally the case, like, historically too. Like,
yeah, this feels very much like a direction issue, just because, like, the guy that plays Shinpei,
yeah,
like, I get he's like trying to be the audience insert to a degree,
and he's also supposed to be this sort of somewhat detached analytical character, which is not the easiest thing to play. Let me just say that off.
Mm-hmm. But, like, he's so like monotonous and
Yeah.
dull.
I had a real hard time sort of connecting with him as a character, and I think it's
Yeah.
largely due to the voice performance. And again, we looked up what other stuff he'd done, and he's been good in other stuff. So that's why. So yeah, we think it's probably a direction issue.
Yeah, this guy's in My Hero. He's in Demon Slayer.
Yeah,
He's in JoJo's.
Yeah.
Seven Deadly Sins. He's in all kinds of stuff. He's an accomplished actor, but Shinpei is just kind of
the other thing
it's
we noticed is that when the voice lines are being delivered and you can't see the mouths moving, it's generally the dialogue flows better and they're performed better. And we think there's probably an issue of wanting to keep it synced up to the mouth movements in the animation. So the writing had to be a little stilted, and that threw off the voice performances too, probably.
yeah.
Because there's a lot of dialogue that feels a little unnatural in terms of how it's written. And I think that's just the translation had to be worked around the mouth flaps, and it's unfortunate. It's a thing that you sometimes have to deal with, and it's unfortunate sometimes.
Yeah, you get things like, how could he do this? I'm going to kick his ass. Like really weird like pauses in middle of sentences.
There's that, and also it's like, we have to use a different word than we would normally use here because the words we would normally use are way too short or way too long. It's like.
Yep, which is also one of the reasons why we get a little bit of confusion halfway through the show when we're trying to figure out if who actually Shinpei is actually related to.
Yeah, because for a lot of the show, it's like, is he actually related to Mio and Ushio, or are they not?
They use the Japanese honorifics, big brother, big sister.
Yeah.
When they're meaning close friends or that kind of thing.
I mean,
or mentors and that kind of thing.
They did
But in the English translation, they literally just say "big brother, little sister."
Yeah, and also a part of it is also like legitimately like he did grow up with them, and he did sort of live as part of the family for a large part of it. So
yeah,
but he's not technically part of the family.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's one of those like Japanese honorific kind of
that is a translation thing. Yep,
that they try to directly translate rather than
Again, the localization was generally very good though, honestly. And I think they did the best they could with what they had. And again, the voice actors did the best, did some actually legit good work. Like, again, the voice actors for Mio and Hizuru are both fantastic, honestly.
Yeah.
Ushio was fine. And
Ushio was a bit.
She was fine. I wouldn't say she was bad or great. Shinpei, I genuinely think I do kind of want to rewatch this in Japanese because I have a feeling that his voice actor will work better in the dub. Because I've seen characters like him voiced in Japanese and have them work a lot better. There are elements of him that are sort of his personality that remind me a little bit of Shiroe from Log Horizon. And I could see like that voice actor doing a better job with the role. Is sort of my thought. But again, I don't know. I'd have to watch and see. But anyways, from the point after that sort of flip point, we start learning more about how the shadows actually work and what their actual goals are. And like, it looks like overall the overarching goal is officially to help Heine recover enough strength so that she can return to the sort of the underwater shadow realm where she's originally kind of sort of from. Sort of. And take all her other shadows with her and go back to that world and leave this world behind. Because, they don't really belong here, per se. But she needs to eat a lot of... She gets energy and strength from consuming living things. And the main living things here, which have the most data, are humans. So... nom nom. But we kind of find out that her right hand, four-armed beastie thing, which I can't remember what they call, start with an S.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Crap. Yeah. Hang on.
Yeah, it's bugging me now.
Nope, that's the wrong thing.
He's not named in the wiki, by the look of it.
Karikiri is the
Karakiri. Here we are.
Karikiri is the human version of him. Yeah, they don't actually list what he's called in the wiki page, unfortunately. But he's got a sort of a nickname he's the four-armed beastie, and apparently it turns out he's got his own little sort of plan. So it turns out that he is the descendant of the priest in the island when Heine first showed up. And he and Heine kind of fell for each other or something, and they had a kid, which was basically a direct clone of him.
Because that's what Heine does.
As a shadow, it turns out a shadow-human hybrid is basically sort of a quasi-shadow hybrid. It's basically a direct copy of the non-shadow parent.
Yeah. She's like a ditto.
It is in fact a perfect clone.
Yep.
Like ages at the same rate, all that other stuff,
Yep.
same everything.
And so he had a bunch of clones of himself all set up that the two, so he could live forever that way. And whenever Heine went back, etc., blah blah blah, this would be all great and such. And then World War II happened.
Yeah.
And the firebombing happened, and all his clones were wiped out in the firebombing because shadows are kind of So he's no and Heine is no longer strong, and the fire basically made weakened Heine to the point where she really can't do anything anymore. So he's going to die. He can't live ever anymore. And he wanted to. His goal was to live long to see the end of the universe. And that's no longer possible. He wants to know what's
going to happen. Yeah.
Well, actually, it is possible that it could happen if he ends the universe himself. Sorry, I think he phrased the end of the world specifically, but
Yeah.
Yeah. He wants to.
So if I'm going, everything's going with me, so I can see what happens at the end.
Yeah, he wants to see where humanity is going to end up at the end when they go extinct. But if he's not going to be around that long, he'd best deal with it first.
Yeah. Which is a very great sort of psychotic villain motivation. Like, that's actually...
Yeah.
Okay, we have an actual villain, and it's kind of an understandable one.
It made me laugh, actually, because it made me think of, like, 80s cartoon villains, that kind of thing. It's like, I want to end the world! Why? It's what we do. Yes, but why?
He was mean to me once.
He has a better reason than most. It's a psychotic reason.
I was promised immortality and it was ripped away from me. Now, well, I can achieve a kind of immortality by destroying everything before I go.
Well, fuck. You're a psycho. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I am what is called a narcissist with psychopathic tendencies.
Yeah. So basically, as they go along, they keep coming with twists and fiddles with the plan. The problem they have is that, like, they've come up with a plan, but Heine is able to loop back with them. So if they have to loop back, Heine can like fill things in. And Heine is also at one point Brand's Shinpei, so she always knows where he is.
Yeah, he approaches it like your typical time traveler thing. He thinks he's the one looping, so he just has to fix what happens. So it's like, this time you can do this, and I know that this shadow was here at this time, so if you go here, and blah, 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 and it works the first time round.
Yep, but then Heine loops with them, and he's like, and he doesn't know this, and they almost get wiped out by that. He's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, so he keeps trying to make these tiny little adjustments to get the plan just right. Trial and error. But once Heine starts looping with them as well, and she can counter him move for move, again, that's where the oh shit moment comes from. It's like, okay.
It is honestly an excellent way of raising the stakes, because once he figures out what's going on, it's just a matter of he can just brute force his way via time loops to getting the result.
But he can't.
It saves the whole way.
It now becomes a chess. It now becomes
someone who's countering him.
Yep.
And
it becomes a temporal chess game.
Yeah.
Ask any streamer. Save scumming is powerful.
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, it moves. It becomes a game of temporal chess, and it's like, and they're both very good at it, actually. To be fair, Shinpei's plans are generally pretty good. And Heine's counters are generally pretty good. Like, I was genuinely impressed by the interplay between the two. And the very obvious respect the two of them had for each other eventually.
Yeah.
They're like, man, fuck this. Like Heine's like, yeah, for a human, he's really good. I'm gonna win because I'm not human. I'm better than him, but you know.
I also just like the way that they go about like each trying to remove their key pieces from the board, so to speak.
Yeah.
And yeah, it gets brutal.
It does. It is. There are a few like genuinely like, well, fuck. That's kind of that's awful moments. I think my favorite there's one really big oh fuck moment where it looks like shit is getting really bad, and which is again, if this is a big spoiler warning if you have been ignoring us so far and still want to see the series but don't want a major plot point spoiled. Okay, spoilers are going to happen now. So at one point they're confronting Karakiri. And this is where we find out about the clones, because they kill him, because Ushio kills them, and then the clone of him, one of the other versions of him, comes out and kills her. Ushio is dead.
Yep.
Because
he loops,
dies for,
and she's not there.
What the fuck does?
Yep.
If
she dies
for what the fuck does.
Yep.
She can't travel with him.
Right. Well, fuck. What the hell are we gonna do now? Like, we are fucked. She's like she is our trump card. Also, you know, she is, you know, the love of Shinpei's life. This is all really bad. Now, all of us are sitting here thinking,
trump card, she's our heaviest hitter. She's
sort of an emotional anchor for Shinpei.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody likes her. Like, she's likable.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's bad. And we're all sitting here thinking, well, is she actually like, okay, odds are she's not permanently dead. How are they going to bring her back? Like, I guess it's possible this could be just a really dark show where she dies, but that doesn't really feel like what the author's intent is. So how is he going to bring her back and not have it feel cheap? Boy, howdy, they set this up well.
They set this up in episode fucking
4.
Well, not 1, but 4. Yeah, episode 4. They set this up like the first set of loops.
They hid this in plain fucking sight. It's so good.
Yeah, it was really well done.
Well, as we mentioned, the first time we see Ushio is right near the end at the right before the festival, where she comes up out of the water and meets Shinpei. From this point on, after that loop, Shinpei never gets that close to the festival again. So that Ushio is out there somewhere because the Ushio that's with him is the one who's been looping with him.
Yeah. They start to refer to her. She's basically in the same Ushio that he found in loop 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's been looping with him. And they've never gone and found the Ushio from that loop again.
And the thing that Heine turns out has been most terrified of is them finding that Ushio and them having 2 of her. And it's just like
I said, she really is their linchpin. She's, to use the chess analogy, she's their queen.
Yep. And it's just like, oh, that's good. And what she's left behind, the only thing that's left behind is the locket that she had that she transferred her memories in as she was dying. Now, the locket can't be her, but it contains her memories.
Yeah. As Shadow Miho points out, it's not her, it's just her memories. It's just a report.
It's a data file. It's a thumb drive, you know.
But
for Shadows.
if you can get that to this loop's at the Mio in the water to this loop, she can read the memories, and then boom, we're back up to speed.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And I've got to say, with a hand on my heart, maybe there was enough of a reaction when we were watching that episode to think that none of us saw that coming.
No, we did not.
That was hidden. That was hidden so
It was
fucking
hidden
well.
in plain fucking sight.
Well, here's the thing: as soon as Shadow Miho goes, "Oh yeah, it's just her memories," we all went, "Oh fuck, that's how you do it."
Yeah.
He could have had an actual army of Ushios at this point, but he never bothered going back and getting them.
Well, again, like, why would you think of like? It's not obvious.
Yeah, Ushio's right there. We don't have to go find her.
Right. Oh, but we could have more Ushio.
Yeah.
Wait, what? But it also points out how differently Heine thinks. That's what she thought of. Because she's thinking like a shadow, Shinpei's thinking like a human.
Yes.
I already have an Ushio.
I already have Ushio. But there could be more copies of her. That doesn't occur to him because it's the person is there. Like oh, it's so good. Like, legitimately, this is my favorite part of the entire fucking show. That solution is so good.
Well, there's a couple of them.
Yeah.
Again, another huge spoiler. Like of clever little moments that you think, oh fuck. Again, I think it's a bit of a ass pull of the rules kind of situation because it's kind of this one. But like, there's one scene where there's a huge fight and they end up in a gym auditorium.
Yep.
And they managed to set Shide, by the way, is the name
Shide,
of the
that's
construct.
It, yes.
They managed to set Shide on fire as a way to deal with him because they need to deal with him. And again, just to think, the way that the shadows think is to copy the air in the room and then delete it.
Right, which puts out the fire.
Which puts out the fire. Which was one of those... Okay, that was clever. It was a bit of an ass pull. That was a clever way to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
Like, there is some intelligence going on in this show.
Oh, yeah, no. It's a very smart show.
I was honestly, when they did that, I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, that was an implosion. Like, all the glass in the auditorium went inwards. That was an implosion.
They got the visual right for that, too. That's the best part.
Yeah.
And then they explained it to me. I said, oh, that's dash clever of them.
Well done. No, they did a lot in the show that I genuinely respect the writing in the show. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, they eventually confront Heine and they basically win. But Shide's not having any of it, and they miscalculate a little bit.
They managed to take out Heine, but it all basically boils around to the fact that Shide was actually the threat.
All comes down to that Shide just didn't give a shit.
Using her. Yeah, he was using her. He was using Heine as a power source, basically. That's about it.
Yep. And he basically says, yep, well, I'm going to take her back into the Shadow Realm over here, and you can follow me if you want to. But if you don't, I'm going to be able to build up time and come back and win.
Because time doesn't actually work here.
So bring it. And they do. And it's really weird. It's hard to... This is a bit that I like. It's very both straightforward and hard to explain without, like...
Yeah, they basically end up in a parallel dimension, a pocket dimension, which is entirely of Heine's creation.
Yep, all shadows.
Except, all shadows, all her own memories.
Yep.
Which can be manipulated and used and everything else. But it's kind of toxic to humans, so Shinpei's only got a limited amount of time in there, so which was part of the whole trap in the first place to lure him in.
Yep.
Where he'd die in a place with no time.
The only reason he's able to survive there is because he is currently possessed by Ryunosuke after Hizuru dies, because she dies.
Yeah.
Like, actually dead, not coming, well, sort of. Asterisk.
Asterisk. Everyone dies, asterisk. Everyone dies in this show a lot, okay?
Yeah.
Except... Oh, no. Miho does as well. Yeah, she gets eaten in the third loop, yeah.
So, So Ryunosuke is possessing him. That's what's keeping Shinpei alive, is because he's got protection from Ryunosuke. And eventually they sort of meet up with... So, Hiroko / Heine sort of kind of a split personality thing. Kind of. And Heine was this... Basically, the backstory is basically... Hiroko was the shadow being that is Hiroko had copied a whale or something like that and washed up on the shore of this island. And then as it was dying, the whale was dying because it's a beached whale. Copied this girl in the village, Heine, and absorbed her because, well, why not? Not knowing what was going on, and the village freaks out, etc. Blah blah. But eventually, because of the priest, Karakiri, she becomes sort of the island's goddess, etc. Blah 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 blah. So she's both Hiroko and Heine. Ryunosuke met Heine at one point in sort of Heine form, and they became friends because Heine is basically this scared, lost little girl. Because so many of the shadows were badly injured, etc. Blah blah. There's a lot of backstory and conspiracy stuff going that we're not going to get into. Otherwise, this episode will go on forever.
But the point of it is that Hizuru made friends with Heine. Was like bringing her snacks. She was hiding out in this cabin because she was complaining about being hungry.
Yep.
And in one unfortunate encounter, Heine can't help herself and copies Ryunosuke and is in the process of eating him. When Hizuru comes across them, and Heine is like suddenly torn between her own instincts and hurting her friend.
Right.
At which point, this is where everything goes to shit, because essentially she kind of splits herself.
Yep.
And the eye that we mentioned earlier escapes from her body.
That is what becomes Ushio.
Which is why Ushio is such a threat and has so much more power than regular shadows.
Because she's half Hiroko.
Yeah, she's half Hiroko.
And this version of her went back at some point, goes back in time to copy the temporal ability into Shinpei.
Yeah.
Because he's much better and more analytical than she is, can actually make use of it. Also, because she did at some point, and she needs to maintain the time loop.
But yeah, when we get to the pocket dimension, it's literally a case of Heine, the little girl, is on the side of Ushio and Shinpei.
Yep.
And the Hiroko, the deity, the consumer that Karakiri has built up this whole time has been kind of partially absorbed into his body.
Yep.
And is powering him.
Yep.
Because this is the thing, he's not a shadow. He's a human that wears empty shadows as an armor. Which is important.
Oh, yeah.
Because shit gets real, because as they're fighting, it's kind of a stalemate until Shinpei convinces Ryunosuke to leave his body, enter Shide, and take over the empty shadows, because that's what he can do. Which means that Shinpei is now completely fucking vulnerable and literally starting to melt.
Yep.
And we actually get another clever little moment that I actually really liked, because the whole time they've been stalling, essentially. Because Ushio has this ability to... This is how she freed Shadow Miho. She can rewrite the shadows.
Right. Well, specifically, she can break the connection between shadows and Heine, basically.
Yes. But she can't get close enough herself to do it, because he's something to do with Heine. So she resolves to do it through creating shadow bullets for a rifle that they've
a pistol, actually, I think, but
a pistol, yeah.
She's basically going to copy herself into the bullets, basically.
Yes. And there's a great scene where, it's the typical hero thing. Like, Ryunosuke is trying to hold Shide still as best he can because he's being overwhelmed. Shinpei is crawling towards this rifle when suddenly it flies through the air towards his outstretched hand, and you think, wait, the fuck, is he a Jedi now? No! Heine threw it at him.
Yep.
Because she's the god of the fucking pocket dimension. She can say, "Oh shit, here you go. You need that."
Yep. Also, the gun is a shadow, so
She can control it. It makes so much fucking sense.
so good.
Yep.
So he fires the bullet into Shide, and yeah, he loses.
Yeah.
He gets to die all by himself.
Motherfucker deserved it.
He really did.
Yeah.
Like, so much about Karakuri was just so...
Oh,
Excellent.
one of the absolute best bits, sort of looping bits, is how much instinctively Hizuru hates him.
Yeah.
Like, there are a number of characters who just find him completely off-putting. And they can't really explain why. And it turns out it's because he's a narcissist with psychopathic tendencies.
At the start, like, he comes across as the island's priest. You know, everyone's kind of like respectful of him, and he seems fine. He's
very pleasant, overtly pleasant.
Yeah, and he's holding. You know, he's the one holding the, officiating the funeral that they're at. It's like, and the writer again does a very good job of deflecting away from him.
Oh yeah.
Until the point where they want to actually do the reveal.
But like, they drop little hints here and there that there's something like these people whom we know and trust don't like this guy for some reason. That's odd. He seems like a nice guy.
But like, for example, they hold the mystery of who Shide was.
Oh yeah.
Very well.
Oh yeah.
Because you see, like, for example, my theory leading into it, I kind of thought it would have been a little bit cliche, so I'm glad they didn't. We also find out early on that Shinpei's parents are dead.
Yeah.
Which is why he's been living with Ushio's family. And it turns out that, this... As you start to learn that Haine comes from an underwater pocket dimension, and Shinpei's parents were aquatic underwater archaeologists that disappeared in a freak boating accident, you start to think, oh, okay.
And then Shide starts showing, has 4 arms, 4 legs sometimes, and shows both male and female characteristics sometimes.
Yeah, in certain scenes, you can actually see, like, it's almost like 2 conjoined people, a male body and a female body, operating almost independently, but joined at the hip.
Yeah.
And it's like, you start to think, wait, 1 woman, 1 man, oh, fuck, is it his parents?
I legit think that the author set that up to make it look that it might be that way as a red herring. Yeah. In which case,
I
kudos.
so yeah.
But it turns out that there is an actual reason why that actually happens is because Karakuri's armor, the
it's a bunch of shadows all glued together, basically.
It's the shadows of multiple people.
Yeah.
Ah.
Very well done.
Yeah.
Very well done. Yeah, no, and so yeah, Shide loses. Game over, buddy.
Yeah. And now we have a lot of loose ends to tie together.
Yeah. And we end up with an entire Coda episode of just like, yes, and now everything has been reset.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of
Ushio
everyone's sort of like both Ushio and Shinpei are like having bits of like really weird deja vu and like thinking things like, why am I so happy to see these people? Like, it's like, I'm happy that they're alive for some reason, but why would I be, why, I mean, like, I am, like, sure, it's great to see them again, but like, the hell? Why am I relieved?
We see everyone, we get the implication that Shinpei's parents are alive, they're just off the island.
Yeah, they're off the island, they're traveling the world because that's what they do.
Yeah, he's just there living at home.
So yeah, he's been adopted by Ushio and Mio's family. Mio's effectively because he lived in the island. His parents we kind of this is where we stay when we're not out doing our thing. So yeah. Arthur, would you watch after our kid while we're gone? Sure.
Well, Hizuru and Ryunosuke are both alive, independent people. Ryunosuke has his own family now.
Yep. His daughter's named Haine.
Yeah.
And looks a little familiar for some reason.
Yeah. But it turns out, and this was the one stepping stone that I was worried they were going to drop out, because the way that they do this is once Shide is dead, Heine's still there. but they have to obviously, to deal with everything, and
Oh right, yeah.
they go all the way back to when the whale beached itself,
Yep.
when Heine first showed up, and Ushio basically they prevent Hiruko, the little girl, from ever encountering the whale, ever being copied, ever being eaten, and it all starting again.
And then they delete the whale.
And they delete the whale, and they delete Heine.
Yep.
And they're just done. Now, because she's now this god-level creature, she herself doesn't disappear. She actually now goes throughout the timeline, essentially, correcting everything and making sure. And this was my problem. It's like, you've basically deleted this critical point in the development of this island, but you're then going to explain to us that everything worked out exactly the way it would have done, just better, without Heine.
Well, time is elastic.
Yeah, and they do a good job. They do a good job of explaining that's because Shadow Ushio stayed in the timeline to make sure it did.
Yeah. And also, like I said, we've established the show establishes that time is elastic. It stretches and contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And there are some very critical differences, it turns out. So, Karakiri, we see Karakiri, he's an old man now, and his son looks a little bit different than him. And they are running the shrine of Amaterasu on the island.
Yep.
Oh, well, okay then. There are lots of little subtle differences, which are all very nice and well done. It sort of... It ends with Shinpei and Ushio actually, finally getting a chance to actually confess to each other at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And the implication I got from the bit there at the end is they kind of remembered what happened.
Yes, I think that was the implication. They actually because the key to it was that Ushio was on the beach looking for her shell necklace.
Yep.
And it's only at the moment
which has been a plot device throughout the whole show.
Yeah, which is at the point where they both touch it at the same time. You can see the look on their face change, and they look at each other. And I believe that is the last sort of gift from Shadow Ushio that they get to remember everything.
And then we get to move on to Ushio's 18th birthday on the 25th. The day after everything, the world would have ended.
Yes.
And that's where the show ends. We left out a chunk of sort of some of the conspiracy stuff, but
there's a lot.
There's a lot. This show has a lot. And let me get into this. We left out a lot of good shit. Go watch the show.
Yes.
I guess we kind of move into final thoughts, I guess, really. So I guess it's me, then Gav, or me, then Eric, then Gav, since Gav picked the show.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay, so I think this show is very, very, very good. I had trouble actually enjoying it for a large part of it. It's large chunks of the show are very much not my cup of tea, sort of from a genre standpoint. And as I said, I had a little trouble connecting with some of the characters, and I think that was largely due to the voice lines, the way the voice lines were delivered, and the way some of the dialogue was written due to translation issues. I just didn't connect with it as much as I would like to have. That said, it is the puzzle of what was going on kept me actually engaged. And after I will say I also enjoyed the show much more after the big reveal of what the actual Shadows plan was, and we did the full loop when it moved out of being primarily a horror series and into more of a horror mystery into a time traveling thriller. And I think that I enjoyed the second half more than I enjoyed the first half. That's a personal preference thing, not a quality thing at all. Because the first half, don't get me wrong, the first half's really fucking good. Just not my cup of tea. But the writing is really smart throughout the whole show. And they stuck the goddamn landing. They didn't nail it quite to the level that Steins Gate did, but they got both feet down and they didn't fall over. And you know what? I'll take that. On a story a story like this that's this complex, great. They didn't fuck it up. Well done. I will also say, normally I start commenting about like how much I like the music or thought about the score. I didn't notice the score very much in this show, which is fine. I think it probably did a good enough job because the show felt appropriately tense in moments were supposed to feel tense. So I suspect the scoring was good enough to help emphasize that. So I don't think the score stood out, but I think it did its job well. Yeah, I think the biggest problem with the show is I just didn't really find Shinpei that interesting as a person. And that's a little unfortunate because I like a lot of the rest of the characters. Shinpei just felt a little sort of meh to me. But that may have just been delivery issues. I don't know. But overall, I think it's a really good show and you should go watch it. It's really good. Eric?
All right. So, it's calling this Dot Peter's cup of tea. That's because this is black coffee with lots of sugar. So very much my cup of coffee with lots of sugar. No, I really enjoyed pretty much all. It was well animated. I enjoyed most of the characters. The main character is the weakest. I don't even remember his name.
Shinpei.
It's unimportant. Shupe, Shupa Dupa. Who cares? It's not important. He doesn't matter because he's surrounded by much more interesting people.
As I said, Shinpei's biggest strength is that the moments where you get to see him being the chess master are where he's most interesting. Honestly,
yes, I'll agree with that. And when some of the best Shinpei moments are actually seeing him like realize he's been outplayed, but the way to undo it trades something else equally important, and having to him struggling to find the equilibrium there.
Yep.
Which I thought was really cool. The example I'm going to use is during one of the loops. Hame lures everyone out to a secluded part of the island, and Ryunosuke / I can't remember her name suddenly. The author woman.
Hizuru.
Hizuru fights Kuros. Fights 4 arms.
Shige,
thank you. And this is where they first figure out that Ryunosuke can hack the shadows. And so he does, and they beat him that way. But in the process, they lose. I don't remember who. They lose Miho. Miho dies. So he now has to decide: does he reset to save Miho, or does he tip that or do they lose that advantage?
Now, admittedly, he doesn't know about that advantage.
That's right. He doesn't know about that advantage yet.
So we get this one. Sorry, I don't mean to jump on your bit, but we get this one scene where, you know, Ryunosuke's got this victory over Shide. It looks like he's basically Shide is fucking done. And we cut back to this other scene where Shinpei is working this out and realizes he's lost Miho, and he can't live with that. So without even realizing that he's about to fuck up a major victory, he loops.
Yep.
If I remember correctly, there was implication that victory was a bit Pyrrhic also, though, in and of itself. It looked, I think they were going to lose, while they took out Shide, it looked like they were going to lose Hizuru also.
Yeah, because Ryunosuke was cooking her, and he's like, if I go much further, you're going to die. Like, I can feel your muscles pulling off of the bones. We can't do this much longer. Just do it. Just keep going.
Yeah, so she was going to die either way. So
yeah,
the problem is what they lost was the ability to take out Shide, because now Haine knows about it and can do something about it.
But that was his basically a really excellent moment in the show that I really enjoyed.
Oh, yeah, no, great. It's great.
And I really enjoyed the opening part where you have no idea what's going on, but something's very, very wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Why is Miho acting so strange? Why is that guy like acting all friendly and then giving him a look as soon as he turns away? What's going on?
And what happened to the why is this author lady dying in the woods? And why is Mio shooting Shinpei in the head?
Why
Yeah.
did Miho just gut that cop?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on?
and like as you watch what's his fuck piecing it together with him and coming to the conclusion, it's actually remarkably well paced in that you're coming to the conclusions largely at the same time he does. As he puts it together, as he puts the mystery together. And then when it transitions in the second half to more of an action-y thing, it's still very well paced, really interesting. I really like this show.
Oh, it's
very
good.
much Eric. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's very much Eric when he's feeling like a pretentious prick kind of shit. To say it's well written, very intelligent. I'm going to rewatch it in a few months after I've digested it properly to see what kind of shit I've missed.
Yeah. No, as I said, it's mostly I'm just not a horror fan. Is what it boils down to. Like,
oh no, this is definitely not the first half in particular is not a Peter show.
No,
because like I said, there's that whole horror element. There, the paranoia. Who's out to get me? Is someone out to get me? Why are there more than one people? What is that horrible blob of shadows in the corner, and why is it taking a human form? That kind of shit.
Again, it is well done enough horror that I overall still enjoyed it. But
yeah,
it's much like John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yes,
not my thing. Not my thing normally. But legitimately, it's so well done that I can't help but sort of say, yeah, that's really good. And I'm glad I watched it.
Oh, like Eric with country music.
Country music isn't real. It's a horrible thing. It was concocted by bad people to make me feel bad about not liking their music, but it's not actually real.
But yet you wouldn't say a bad word about Dolly Parton.
No, you would. She doesn't like
No,
her
I
music.
would.
No, actually,
it's Johnny Cash and Eric
at
Clapton.
all.
Oh, Johnny Cash. I'm thinking. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I've been reading articles.
Dolly Parton's an absolute sweetheart and uses her wealth to the best way someone can, and is a great person. I do not enjoy her work, her musical work. Jolene's a pretty good song, but
No, sorry. I did mean Johnny Cash. Just for some reason, I just went default country music name.
I imagine you feel similarly about Willie Nelson also.
Yeah, again, I'm
not a fan of his music, but
the guy does a lot of good work. Not a fan of his music at all.
Anywho, I think we should throw it over to Gav.
Yeah. I think the point we're making here is that this is technically very, very good, and if it is your wheelhouse, you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
If it's not your wheelhouse, you'll probably still enjoy it. Just it'll take
much.
longer for it to stick.
It's not as much. Yeah. This admittedly, this is the ending that Parasite wishes it had.
Oh Jesus fucking Christ!
Fucking Parasite.
God, if Parasite was half this smart.
Yeah.
This is the show Parasite thinks it is.
Yes.
Parasite thinks this show thinks it's twice as smart as this show, but is barely a quarter as smart.
Yeah.
Jesus
fucking Christ.
There's so much more complexity, and not to just shit on Parasite, but there is genuine complexity, genuine surprise, genuine clever, and intricate solutions to problems.
I'm also going to bring a point. It has genuine, actually interesting philosophical questions to ask.
Yes, not pretentious fucking.
I audited a philosophy course once. I know better than the writers do.
Yeah.
God, I hate Parasite.
Yeah,
Parasite does have kick-ass flesh crafting, though.
It does, but you can't get to the end of a show about an unnatural, alien murderer of, indiscriminate murder of people, and then start asking, do I have the right to take this thing's life? Fuck off!
I think the better question is, do you have the right to let it go?
Yeah. What else you may think about the main part of Parasite? Those last 4 episodes. Jesus fuck.
Yeah.
Absolute garbage fire.
It's one thing I remember thinking, they never even mentioned this as a possibility. When they were dealing with the when they went back in time and dealt with the whale, the original Heine, There was never a case of, oh, shouldn't we give her a chance to like, to build her, repair her ways and become like part of the community.
No, the first thing they do is they say is, no, don't let embryonic Hane anywhere near the whale. She'll reset things and do it all over again and stop us.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, no, she look, and yeah, the spoiler. She's literally an extraterrestrial creature that is designed to absorb and scan and destroy life. Like, no, like, look, I understand that there is an element of her that is the little girl, but even she's the one saying, "Thank you for killing me. Existence is hell." No, like this is the thing. Like I said, it's one of those cases where, just to bring it all back, if this sort of thing, weird enough, if John Carpenter's The Thing is your kind of thing, you're gonna like this show.
I think we need to use thing a few more times in that sentence.
Thing.
Thingity thing.
Thingity thing. It's a thing that goes ding when there's things. But yes, I've completely tied my whole head in knots there. But yeah, it's good. Go watch it. It's nearly 3 a.m. for me.
Yes, no, it's fine. So yeah, I think the conclusion is we all basically say, yeah, this show's really smart and well done, and you should watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, the biggest worry when we started watching it, when we realized it was a time travel show, is, again, you always think with these sort of things, it can very easily start to unwind. Those threads fray, and there's nothing by the end of it. But no, this manages to keep it all together.
No,
we've all seen enough bad Star Trek time travel episodes.
Yes, we have.
How badly this can go.
Oh yes, I'm watching Voyager at the moment.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
We've seen a bad Star Trek. We've seen a bad Doctor Who time travel. Like, I love Doctor Who, but there's some of the episodes not so good.
Yeah.
Doctor Who tends to just go, you know what, I'm the Time Lord, I make the fucking rules.
Yep. That helps sometimes. At any rate, that is going to do it for that's it for Summertime Rendering, guys. Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you go check it out if you haven't already, or if you have and enjoyed it, let us know, etc. Blah, blah, blah. We recorded this on twitch.tv/MechaGM on Tuesday evening. When we record, we tend to record on Tuesday evenings when we record, which happens every time we finish a series. It is now my turn to pick a series, and I've been giving it some thought. And I think I'm going to pick a show that I've heard nothing but good things about, that I have not watched yet, that I've been meaning to watch yet. I'm hoping it'll be easier to watch with a group of people. And that is Bocchi the Rock.
Ah.
Because I'm afraid I'm in this show and it's going to cause me pain somewhat.
I won't have this problem because I'll be able to look at those characters and go, those are Japanese schoolgirls, and I'm a 40-year-old white American man, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm different.
All right. Ladies, we're doing Bocchi the Rock, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye!
Bye.